All right, so what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about right now, is taking the lift apparatus thing off of the truck. These were designed to be able to be removed pretty easily, and I'm going to kind of walk you guys through how that works. So what you got here is you've got this part's bolted on. Obviously the bolts have rusted off. The panel behind it's gone. This one here the same. There's bolts here, there's two here, okay, and all the way around there's another two right here, and then you got right here and right here. So you've got the things designed to be unbolted and removed, and then you have to take these two sections off, because what that does is, with all those bolts and these lower sections, those lower sections actually grab a hold of the bottom of the frame, and then when these outriggers go down, it lifts the whole truck off the ground. So that's how it works, and this is how you normally would remove it if it was operating and working correctly. There's this valve right here. From what I can tell, we don't know for sure. I've never ran it before. Just from watching how the hydraulic lines work, we kind of figured this is how it works. There's normally a valve right here, and inside here there's a handle. And so if you see this handle, there was supposed to be one of these handles actually on this lever on this thing. So this thing was supposed to have a handle on it. That's been gone for some reason. It's removed. We'll have to make one, I suppose. And what you would do is, with the truck running, the engine running, the pump is always running on these. The pump does not shut down. It's kind of weird. Unlike the newer trucks, you know, they shut the pump off when you're driving down the road. These things just, the pump was just spinning all the time and the motor's running. So it has hydraulic lines inside of the chassis. That's why it's a little bit easier to have one of these. It's you know, to take a regular single cab and turn it into one of these would be a little bit of work. There's hydraulic lines that go inside. You guys can take a look at them. I'll show you. Here's the pump. See the hydraulic lines go through the firewall. They go underneath the bed all the way up into the front, and then they come out. They come out up through the chassis here. Okay, then it goes through this little filter, comes up and goes back into through the cab wall, the back side of the cab. So it goes up through here, the floor, or the inside the cab, and goes up, and there's this valve. So what does that tell me is, okay, when you turn this valve like that, it's on bypass. So your pump is just going to circulate through here, and your hydraulic tank, and it's just going to keep circulating, and it's never going to build up pressure. And then you go like this, and then it charges these lines up here, and that's the this is one of these is a return, one's a pressure line. I don't know which one's which, but it sends the one up through these here and charges the lift. So charges the hydraulic lift. So then when you use these solenoids here, it operates the lift up and down, you know, whatever, sideways, and the outriggers and all that stuff through these solenoids right here. So you see these have these nice disconnects on them, right? This was designed to come off of here fairly easy. So they have these nice disconnects. So what you do is you turn your engine off, you turn this thing sideways like that, it's on bypass. Now you're free to disconnect these. So now you could disconnect these. Say in the real life, you disconnect these two. Well, actually you don't disconnect them yet. First thing you would want to do is actually take off all the bolts, and then raise the outriggers. Okay, so your outriggers are down, and it would lift the lift off of the truck a couple of inches. Okay, then what you do is you turn this valve, turn this off, and that would charge, and then all your hydraulic outriggers would be charged. Okay, and they would just stay in place because this valve was turned off. So then with that valve turned off, then you turn this valve off, then you can disconnect these two. Okay, so there's no pressure here. It's all locked in on these things. So like I said, this thing was designed to actually, these outriggers to go down, have it lift up a couple inches, and you can just drive the truck out from underneath it. So that's how it was made. And you needed to have an SO10 or SO9 to be able to, you know, put the lift back on one of those trucks. Now, it's kind of weird, you know, according to the M code on this thing, it's supposed to be an SO9, but this is an SO10 lift. Now, a lot of people might say, okay, oh, it's got the wrong lift on it. You know, I'm going to tell you this. I've seen M codes be wrong many times. And, you know, I'm going to tell you an example that's pretty easy to understand for a lot of you guys that are VW people. I had a 65 standard, and it said, stamped on the M code, 6 pop outs. You took out all the windows. I took out all the windows to paint it. Original paint, original color was correct. Everything's correct on the M codes. The VIN numbers match. There was no grafted metal. It only been in a small accident, and there was nothing to indicate anything had ever been changed, and there was no hinges welded in. There was never a hinge welded in, except for the rear pop out. So it only had 2 pop outs. Now you might say, why is that? That it would be wrong. How could VW ever be wrong? You know, and that's the thing. People go, oh, well, VW was never wrong. Oh crap. You know, let me paint a scenario for you. Let's say you were a dealer and you ordered a bunch of cars. You know, you didn't order them. You just said, hey, send me some stock. They just make up cars and they have them all in production. And then a special order comes in, okay, and they're wanting a specific model. So they take one of the ones that's in the line already instead of starting a new one, and they just go, okay, let's turn this 65 Westphalia, let's turn this into a whatever spec. And they would put the proper parts on it. Maybe they put a piece of paper in the window saying, you know, what they were doing different, you know, and they would paint it the other color, and they would do stuff, because I've heard of many other occasions or M codes and birth certificates were wrong, absolutely wrong. They didn't even have the right color. They stripped it down, original paint's a different color, you know, all kinds of stuff that I've heard of and seen. So so this one says it's an SO9, but it has an SO10 lift. The chances of it being a different lift are pretty slim. You know, that they put the you know, that they changed the lift at one point would be very unlikely for them to do that, because, you know, these things came off, but I really don't think they came off very often. And maybe to service it, that's probably about it. And why would they change it and put a different lift on it? It makes no sense, especially put a smaller one on it. I mean, we looked at the M codes up. It's spec for 40 horse, and it has an SO9. That makes sense. Or SO10 lift on it, you know, which is this is a 40 foot or 60 foot or 60 meter or something like that. And then the other one's 80 meters, so or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how it works. Centimeters. I have no idea why they came up with a 60 and 80. I don't know how it figures out. But the 60 is the small. The 80 is the big one. This one, according to the M code, says 80. It's got a 60 on it. Okay, so settles that. How did it get that way? Absolutely have no idea. You never know. Could be a number of reasons. Could be, like I said, in the order, they may have been needing a 10, and then right at the last minute, the people said, no, we want an SO9, and right at the last minute, no, make it a 10, because we got lots of SO9s. So, you know, it could have happened in the middle of the line. Who knows? Happens in production of a lot of things, a lot of times. So probably happened in VW quite a bit too. So anyway, you lock the outriggers, the thing's lifted up, you drive the truck away. We can't do that. So because the hydraulic lines are shot, we've got these problems here. I mean, that's a hole in this thing. We don't have you know, our hydraulic system is pretty roached. So we're gonna have to get this thing off of here without it. So what we did is we bought some of those wheel dollies for a car. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna jack this thing up. We're gonna loosen up the bolts, okay? We're gonna jack this thing off the ground a little bit. And we're gonna put those wheel dollies underneath it. And that way, hoping that we can kind of maneuver it around these things, which are actually temporarily welded to a temporary frame that's underneath it. You can kind of take a look at that. Let's see. They're welded. Let's get you a little closer. How about that? Can you see now? There's a temporary frame underneath. That piece you're looking at is a temporary frame. The actual frame is above it right there. You can see that's just totally gone. So they put this temporary frame underneath it, and it's welded to these crossbars right here. So it's welded, those crossbars goes underneath, and it goes underneath the temporary frame. Well, it's sandwiched. The temporary frame is sandwiched between this frame piece is sandwiched between the temporary frame and the frame. So you can kind of see right here. There's the old frame. There's the temporary frame below it, and it's sandwiched in there. So you can't really just easily pull these things out. I have to cut them out, but I'd like to get some of the weight off of it first before I do that. So we're gonna try to loosen up these bolts and then kind of jog it around and get it off of here, and then get it, kind of work it around these. I don't know if it's gonna work or not. We will find out. You guys will find out with us if you want to stay. So anyway, it looks like it'll be a fun thing to do, and that way you guys can see these lifts came on and off. It wasn't difficult. It was designed to come off. It has the union switches and everything, a little valve to turn off, and so you could take it off. Maybe it was made so that you could take the lift off and actually go to the supply store and buy something, come back, you know, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting idea, and it's really cool. And you can't just put it on any single cab. It has to be gateless. It has to have the hydraulic pump and all the stuff that's in the SO model. So you couldn't just put it on any one of them. And if you did, you'd have bad visibility, because, you know, that's why they have the taillights so far out on these, to help visibility, I guess. Anyway, we'll show you some action. that hammer and it's raining rust. Cherry bomb. Oh, yeah. The pins, where are they? Yeah, they were like so pitted, rusted, and they're like almost not a press fit. I think you have to hammer these things in, the pins here. So we had to get them hot like twice or 3 times. Look at that, the pits in there. So we had to get them hot a few times and then actually get the outer part hot one more time after we lubed it and, you know, banged them back and forth a few times. Now we're going to have to rethread the insides of them. So it's going to be, that's a restoration there. Before we can put those back in, we can put the lift back on someday. So we're going to attempt to actually put jacks under here. We've got these things set up here. Lift up the lift and then pull the truck forward, or push the truck forward. Let's separate it. Oh, there you go. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Wow, what is it hung up on? Is there anything bolted? Oh man, that's scary.
Yeah, right here.
The whole thing's just crumbling.
Give this a try back
Let's
here.
try back here, yeah.
Oh, they welded it.
Huh?
There's a weld right there.
Oh, should we just break it with the... Oh, it's just gonna... Okay. All right, let's go to the other side. Let's check this out, see if we can get this truck off the... underneath this lift. I don't know. See how this side goes. The other side was kind of crunchy, wasn't it? That was weird. Yeah, it's like not much truck left here. Oh man, look at the cab is moving. If you guys can see that, the cab. Oh, there it goes. It's separating. Okay, let me go from here. Look at that. Yeah, you guys can see that. Separating. Can we get the jacks underneath it now? Yeah. Look at that. Okay, let's go back to wide angle again. You can check it out. Yeah, that looks cool. Wow. Well, the frame didn't collapse.
Yeah. There we go.
There it goes. So it looks like it's separated all the way around. Now the trick is that we got those bars there. Hopefully we can move those around. We can maneuver it around these. Let's take a look at what we're talking about. We got to leave these bars here.
We're still attached over here.
We're still attached over there. Something's hung up. No, that's loose. It's just, God, look at how flimsy that is. Do that again. Hang on. Look at it. It's just like, wow. That's just weird. That looks freaky. Yeah, when you do that, it just looks so freaky. I don't know if you guys can all see that. Might have to get it up higher, huh? I think we'll put, we got those 2 big blocks. We'll put the 2 big blocks on this side. That side's up high enough for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's a suspension.
It's spare tire. It's lower.
Oh yeah, because they got the spare on this side.
Or we can try laying the tires down.
Yeah, it'll be really hard to move forward then. With the tires aired down, it'll be hard to move. I mean, I don't know. Look at this around the edge. Look at that, man. The rust in there. Man, look at this. It just raised up. Man, it's just rusty. It's gonna be fun. Well, we certainly can't move it forward with all this mess. Let's clean it up. All right, so check this out. I keep on finding stuff like this. You know what that is? Stuff comes falling off as we're working on it. Just tons of Bondo and stuff. It's crazy. So we're gonna leave the piles there. We're not gonna swoop up everything because as soon as we move it, it starts raining more rust. All right, let's try and move this thing. We're gonna. There you go, guys. So check it out. This is what it looks like when it's off. Let's look how bad the truck is underneath the lift too. There was a lot more damage up there in the front. You can really see it. And we ended up having to cut a few things off. Got our rust pile here. Look at that. And a lot of stuff just fell off as we were working on it. Not even, we cut off a few things to try and get in here because it was easier to get in here with that off. I think we'll do maybe a next video on this thing is I'll just cut up all the top part of it, just take off all the metal so you can see underneath. You know, I don't know if I can get it up on the lift because I think it'll, you know, I'm not sure what it's going to do. It might work. We're kind of assessing it right now. The frame rails, the temporary frame rails, are holding it pretty good. Otherwise it would actually collapse. Let's look at the other side. I'll show you. Look at this. Wow, look at that. It's just gone up behind the. We had a real time getting that plug out. I don't know if I'll get that in the whole video. Look at this. Rusty crumbs everywhere. A lot of junk, bolts, things. Some of the bolts came out easy, some just broke. Like that one just broke off. Let's look at this here. I don't know what we're gonna do next on it because it's hot, so we may be working inside. You know, so we may do like bumper. Look at this. Wow. Let me see if you guys can see that, huh? Yeah. There's nothing holding that sucker on. There's nothing. It's just loose. Yeah, look at that. And this thing's just hanging. You can see it's just going down right there. It's because there's no frame underneath it. It's crazy. I almost need the quarter to line up everything. I don't know how I'm going to line it up. It's going to be hard to do. So make sure it goes down the road straight. It's, you know, it'll be fine. I'm sure. Can't be that critical. It's not like this thing's gonna get driven every day. So yeah, we got a few rust crumbs here. That's why I didn't bother to. Gonna get the vacuum out for that, huh? Once I take this whole top off, then we'll see what's on there. Crazy. A lot of rust on there. Let's look at that frame. These things here were really hard to get out. The pins. Oh my God. Had to heat them up 2 or 3 times. The pins kept getting stuck in the holes, and so we got to grind them down and clean up the holes really good, make them so they fit nice and tight still again. And then this is all crazy right here. This little wire, this thing was really stuck in there. Took a bit of work to get that out. Some of the stuff we saw was kind of weird. show you guys. Since these were built in the factory, the truck was built in the factory as an SL model. We ended up having to take these things off, which is not the normal way to take it off, right here. And we noticed that this is painted the same as the cab inside. So when they built this, they had to have these lines in to paint them all gray. They painted the whole thing all gray at once. So the Volkswagen factory probably put in this part of the hydraulics. That was probably the part that they did, and then they sent it out to Ruthman and did they did the rest of the modifications, made the lift and actually put them on the trucks. So that's what I'm thinking, and that's why they're called a special model and not just like a Caravelle camper where they just bought like strippo models and then took them in and made them into campers. These are a special model because of that, because putting the hydraulic lines in and all that from the back of the truck to the front was probably a bit of work. So it was easier to do in the factory. So anyway, that's what I think. I don't know how they may be integral in the body somehow. So I don't know. We'll get it apart once we get the tops off. You guys can come back for that once we take we're just going to do like a plasma cutting video and just cut up a whole bunch of stuff on it. I think the frame rail will hold most of it together, that and some of the top rails that are still in place, and then I don't know what I'm going to do from there. Got to get a lot of money together for parts. This is like over $10,000 at least. I mean, that's if I go minimal. It'll be over 10,000 in parts. I don't see how I can do it for much less than that. So anyway, all right, that's it for this. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Hopefully you guys enjoy the view of the bucket truck without the lift, and see if I can get you guys in the right angle here. How's that? Talk to you next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We are gonna fix this truck somehow. I don't know, but it's gonna happen.